Welcome to the Pure Motivation Fitness Podcast Show. I'm your host, Demetre Katrivanos, and today we are joined with the one and only Dr. Demetre Katrivanos. All right. So guys, I want to thank you for joining us today. We want to make this episode a little special and make it be a little customized and tailored to what's going on in the world right now. We obviously understand that there's a lot of stress, anxiety. There's a lot of uncertainty what's going on with the COVID-19 crisis. And we wanted to come to you with a podcast that's going to talk to you about how you can boost your immune system naturally with foods and supplementation. And today we have one of our guests, Dr. Demetre Katrivanos. That's right, we got the same name. And for those of you who are thinking, yes, we are Greek. But if you don't really know, Dr. K is our licensed naturopathic doctor. He's an educated medical doctor. He's a certified personal training coach, which is unique because not a lot of naturopathic doctors or medical professionals will take the time to actually go get certified. And he's actually an exercise, sport, nutrition expert from Precision Nutrition, which is an amazing additional wealth of knowledge from Dr. John Berardi. We have a lot of good stuff we're going to talk about. So welcome to the show, Dr. Demetre Katrivanos. I'm going to call you D. Is that okay?
That sounds great. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much, Demetre, for having me on. And thank you, everyone, for listening. So really, you would think I had enough letters in my last name and I really needed any more letters to add to that. But
usually the Greek last names have about 15 last
exactly.
letters.
But anyway, it's really a pleasure to be with you today and speak about this very important topic as we are navigating with the same set of concerns about our health, which has really been redefined in this era of COVID because 7 months ago everyone on this planet had their lives upended by something that we really didn't expect, and
totally
it came out of the blue, really. So. And the other thing is, we also see that no one is immune to it. So it's important to ensure that, our bodies are strong physically, mentally, but also our immune system is strong to prevent disease. And that's why, I wanted to do this today and share with you my role as a doctor on what strategies we can take from a nutrition and supplement perspective to help, boost our immune system to fight not only COVID, but also any other viruses and bacteria that, we're exposed to.
Awesome. And for those people who are listening right now who are kind of confused, they're like, well, what is a naturopathic doctor? If you can sum it up in like a few minutes, what's the main difference between like a nutritionist and a naturopath? Because some people don't understand the difference.
Sure. Well, a naturopath is a licensed doctor who focuses on preventative medicine, really, and focusing on the cause of disease and not really relying on medication as first-line therapy. Medications are important. They have their role, but sometimes we tend to be a little bit over-medicated and rely on pharmaceuticals to address issues, and sometimes, most of the time, they kind of mask the symptoms. So we try to get to the root of the cause. We try to figure out exactly what's going on. Of course, address the symptoms that are happening, but also making sure that what exactly is causing that. So that's what I focus on. Nutrition plays a big role, of course. Nutrition is very, very important, and that's really what a naturopathic doctor does in a nutshell.
So now a naturopath will not prescribe or will prescribe medicine?
Sure. Some naturopaths have prescribing rights. Some don't. But I try to focus on non-prescription medication. I really don't think prescribing medication is the right way as first-line therapy. So yeah, that would be the answer to your question.
Awesome. All right, man, let's rock it off. So first we wanted to ask you, what are the best foods right now? Everyone's going crazy and they're like, should I buy the supplement? Do I take this vitamin drip in my arm?
Yeah, sure.
Do I go and, go to Shoppers Drug Mart and load up on stuff? But if we're going to talk about it, what are the best foods or some of the best foods right now that we can just get at our grocery store that can help with immunity and which are important to our body's own natural defense system?
Yeah, of course. Well, I don't think there's ever been a more important time than the present to think about our health and the choices that we make at home. What we put in our bodies can make a huge difference in terms of, how our body's defense system reacts and helps us resist disease and infection. And really, the rules are pretty much the same as before, eating whole foods, which includes fruits and plenty of vegetables, avoiding processed foods and foods high in and sugar. Those are the basics. But there are groups of foods that you should always have because these will maximize your natural defenses and prevent disease from happening and help fight off infection.
So whoever's listening, get your little notepad out and your pen because here it comes, baby.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Well, the first one I'd like to talk about is mushrooms. I love mushrooms, and mushrooms have, especially in their stems as well as their cap, natural chemicals that activate or stimulate our immune system. So they help fight the oxidative stress, which is a kind of aging that occurs in our body. Mm-hmm. And I'll talk about that later. They also help lower bad cholesterol. The LDL that many of us know so well. They have many functions, and I consider them a powerful food. Of course, there are many different types of mushrooms. There's like the shiitake, reishi, lion's mane, to just name a few. So really, it's, remember, don't just throw away the stem of the mushroom. Cook the entire thing and use it in your cooking for sure.
Does it matter if you're cooking it in terms of sautéing it, boiling it, barbecuing it? Do you lose any properties of it or no?
Well, when you do cook it, there are some properties that are lost with any vegetable. So eating it raw you'll be getting most of the phytonutrients in it. But having it throughout your food and throughout the day is very important either way.
Awesome. And for anyone listening, he's not talking about the magic mushrooms.
No.
That'll make you think you're seeing stars in your office.
There you go. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out.
And if you're looking for an amazing mushroom recipe, my wife Francesca makes the best risotto with mushrooms. It's amazing. If you want that recipe, DM us or just send me a link. What's another food we can have?
Yeah, perfect. Well, the second one is broccoli, and broccoli contains chemicals called sulforaphanes, and researchers have found that these chemicals help our body ward off the virus infection, and they help clear up the free radicals in our body. And like I said before, what exactly are free radicals? They're byproducts of the normal body processes when converting like food into energy. And when these free radicals build up, they can damage our cells and they can lead to disease. So broccoli is very, very important.
Awesome.
In our immune system.
I usually, when I'm boiling broccoli, if all the water that's left over when I take out the broccoli, I'll usually use that if I'm making a soup or if I'm making a meal and I'm stir frying, I'll throw some of that in. So for those of you listening, because some of you may be thinking that when you're boiling food or you're steaming it, a lot of the nutrients can go into that water.
Exactly.
So that's a great tip. Exactly. What else you got?
Sure. A third one is antioxidant-rich foods that are high in vitamin C. And what vitamin C does is that it helps eliminate the free radicals that I just talked about earlier, but it kind of gives the green light to our immune system to make more white blood cells, and these are our immune-fighting cells. They help us better react to any infection, and so these are really important. And foods that are considered antioxidant are the family of berries, strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, but also cherries, oranges, kiwi, and grapefruit as well. So these are really, really good antioxidant foods that you should always be having throughout your day.
Awesome. So far, we're mentioning so far, I think, fruits. We went through vegetables. Any other, or what's the difference between like grains or other proteins? Would they be as helpful for the immune system?
Oh, absolutely. Protein is very important because without protein, we can't make antibodies. And then the antibodies are the chemicals that kind of, help ward off infection as well and fight infection. So it's really important to be having, from all three groups of your macronutrients, your carbs, your proteins, your fats. So it's very, very important for sure.
Awesome. Good that you mentioned that. And I'm going to also mention that if you're listening to this and you're an active person that trains, you're breaking down muscle tissue, you're training on a regular basis, the form of exercise, its main stimulus is to break down muscle tissue, make muscle tissue stronger, it reheals. But if you're not having a lot of protein in your diet, and I'm not saying you got to have red meat every day, but if you're not having different forms of protein, your body can't be in that growth state. So add high stress, add people staying at home, add people not exercising, immunity gets worse. So I guess protein can help as well in that. My second question is, are we not able to get enough vitamins or minerals from a regular diet? Like, do we got to buy supplements? And if we do, are there any specific ones you can suggest?
Sure, absolutely, Demetre. That's a great point. Yes, when we're under high levels of stress, and if our diet is not that good, then we can be deficient in some micronutrients, and supplementation may go a long way to keep our immune system working at the best levels and keep us from getting sick. And there are several vitamins and minerals that research has shown are the best to supplement with, for sure. The first one would be the B vitamins, the family of B vitamins. B12, for example, can help with production of red blood cells and white blood cells. Another one is B6, which is called pyridoxine. It's the key in keeping the immune system working properly.
So for a guy my size, about 200 pounds male, am I taking one of those per day?
It depends on the dosage per product. So
Right.
I can't say offhand because some products have a higher dosage than others per serving.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have to look at that before we recommend anything.
Okay.
The other thing is another good B vitamin is riboflavin B2, and that helps with recycling the body's strongest antioxidant, which is glutathione. So that's really important. So the B vitamins are very, very important when it comes to supplementation for boosting your immune system.
Nice.
A third would be, vitamin D. Vitamin D is also called the sunshine vitamin because it's produced by your skin in response to sunlight. And unlike the B vitamins that are, water soluble, vitamin D is fat soluble, which means that it's better absorbed with food. And, most of you might know that vitamin D is really important for bone health and prevents bone diseases, but it also plays an important role in immunity. It helps boost the function of your immune cells. They're called T cells and macrophages. And these cells are the ones that help fight bacteria and viruses. And there's studies that suggest that being low in vitamin D can be associated with an increased risk of developing lung infections, especially something as similar as COVID, for example.
So what if someone said, well, I want to challenge this, and I live in Miami, I'm always outside, I get sun every day, versus someone like myself who's in Toronto, who now our summer's gone, would they still need to take vitamin D because they're in a hot environment, or no?
No, not necessarily. If they're exposed to sunlight for most of the day, even through the winter months, then they may not need to supplement with vitamin D.
Right.
The best advice that I would suggest is getting a vitamin D test. It's very inexpensive. It's around $30 or so. And that'll give you a good idea of where you stand, and then you can use that as a baseline. And if you need to supplement, then you can, for example.
Perfect.
Yeah. The last one I wanted to mention is zinc. And zinc is found in many different types of cells throughout our body. And how does zinc help our immune system? Well, the first of its many functions is that it has antiviral properties, and basically that means that it helps kill viruses. And it can also help boost our white blood cells, which I mentioned earlier. These are the immune fighting cells.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another point that I wanted to make is that zinc, now new research suggests that it puts the brakes on our immune response in a way that it prevents kind of the out of control inflammation that can be deadly.
Right.
A lot of serious COVID cases in the hospital setting are due to what is called a cytokine storm. That's the term that a lot of medical professionals are using, and they see that in the hospital setting. And really what's happening is the immune system, the immune response goes way overboard and results in too much.
It's trying to work too hard.
Yeah, it's just going. It's resulting in too much inflammation, which really can be deadly. And zinc has shown to help control that. So it's during these stressful times, it's important to make sure that we strengthen our body, especially our immune system, with, of course, regular exercise, proper sleep, good whole foods diet, and, of course, with supplementation with the right combination of vitamins and minerals.
How about zinc has to do with testosterone? I've read somewhere that does it help out with male testosterone?
Sure. Zinc is involved in the reaction or in the production of testosterone. So when individuals, males, have low levels of testosterone, something like zinc might be helpful. Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. And then, so we talked about some foods. We talked about, we said vitamin, you said vitamin B, vitamin D. You said zinc is going to be good. Vitamin C, obviously, we know that we've been told to have that on a regular basis. Does fish oil help at all in terms of immunity, or is that more for joints and hormones? Or
No, yeah, fish oil is very good because it also has anti-inflammatory properties. The two types of fatty acids are in fish oil. They're called EPA and DHA, and they're very good in that they help with control the inflammation. So taking fish oil, of course, can have benefits for sure. Yeah.
Lastly, so then what about stress? So how is stress affecting the immune system? A lot of people don't pay attention to this. A lot of people are saying they're stressed out and they're only associating stress with their mood, their emotion, and their eating. I'm overeating, so I'm stressed. I have migraines, I have headaches, but I know it's got to do with cortisol. I'm trying to explain to clients, maybe you can shed some more light of the effect of stress on their immunity, especially now with this crazy
absolutely.
cycle that we're in.
Yeah, you nailed it. Cortisol is the big culprit when it comes to stress. We tend to overproduce too much cortisol when we're under stress. And it's really a perceived level of how we see the environment more than anything. But it's very important to try and manage that and managing it through exercise, through eating regularly, through eating whole food diets, making sure you have good enough supplementation to address any micronutrient deficiencies. These are and having even proper sleep because you want to be able to recuperate from your daily activities that you've undergone. So it's really important to manage stress from those aspects, and then your cortisol levels will be not as high, and they won't have detrimental effects on your health. So
may his soul rest in peace. Dr. Charles Poliquin, one of the most amazing coaches known around all the world, he came up with a certification program, and he talked about the biosignature module where he talks about body fat percentages in different people's body and where it comes from and what hormones are deficient. And he mentioned for males, if they have if they have a lot of body fat in their breast area, then it's usually a high level of estrogen, low testosterone. If their midsection is high in body fat, it's usually to high cortisol production. For a female, I guess for a male or female, if they have high stress, high cortisol, does it do the same? Does it work in the same areas? Will they have more production in the midsection like a male, or is it different?
Sure. Well, with stress will definitely affect hormone production, whether it's in females or males. So really important to manage those stress levels, and the best way is to manage them through exercise, because then you'll be able to also properly manage your production of hormones. So it's really, really important to be able to address that. Like I said, all of us are under a higher amounts of stress than we were almost a year ago, and it's really important to address it in every way that you can.
So let's say someone is trying to say to you, I'm only going to do one of the two. I'm either going to exercise, and I know this answer is going to be dependent on everyone's background. You ask me, I'm going to tell you it's one. I ask you, could be the other. But if someone says, listen, what's more important? Should I be training and I'm not really going to focus on the supplements and the nutrition? Should I be focusing on eating clean, taking my supplements, taking my vitamins, and I don't got time for exercise? Or should I just be focusing on trying to keep myself calm? And if I only have time, I'm going to meditate versus exercise or nutrition. It's kind of a hard question to ask, but we might as well throw you under the bus right now.
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for that, for sure. Really, my answer is all of the above. Really, it is, because exercise and nutrition are two sides of the same coin. You have to exercise. Nice. You have to eat right.
I'm going to ask you to pause for a second, guys. Did you hear that? I'm going to tell that to people now. It's the same side of the. How'd you say it?
Two sides of the same coin.
Two sides of the same coin. So you can't say that, well, I'm eating really clean, or I'm going to cut out my carbs, or I'm going to do this. You got to do both, right?
Yeah, it goes a long way. You can't exercise yourself out of a poor diet, and you can't maintain a healthy lifestyle with only eating, whole food diets and not exercising as well. So you have to do both. There's no way around it.
All right. Lastly, I keep saying lastly, but I love talking. We're talking immunity. We're talking the best things that we can do naturally to keep immune. How does alcohol affect this game? If we're all stressed out, we're working on boosting immunity, but people are like, listen, you know what? I need my fix. I need to come home and I got to have my scotch, my whiskey, whatever, my wine. If people's alcohol consumption is increasing, how does that come into play?
Sure. Yeah, that's a very good question. Sometimes we tend to look for unhealthy strategies to cope with stress. And alcohol can become an unhealthy strategy. Absolutely. It can affect your hormone level. It can affect the way your liver functions and many other effects. I'm not saying, for those who enjoy a glass of wine once in a while, no problem. I'm not saying restrict it completely, but always be aware and everything in moderation when it comes to alcohol, of course. So having a glass of wine, a couple of times a week, for example, it's fine. But when you go past that, then you can lead into health problems for sure.
I always tell people, if you're going to have excess wine and alcohol, then you should be putting in excess of training and good eating.
Well,
you can't do them all in that way. Well, that's it for today, guys, girls, mama, papa, uncles, grandmothers. If you're listening to this podcast and you're listening to the information and you like it or it sounds great, we'd like to ask you for a small favor and share it with any friends or family you know. If you want to let people interested in any nutritional programs, let them know that Pure Motivation Fitness is able to help. Not only can we customize your program based on somatotype, which is one of the 3 body types that we specialize in, but Dr. K is amazing and is able to help you out with any forms of issues with either digestion, stress, hormone, supplementation, any other things that maybe you specialize in that I didn't knock off in there?
No, it's basically general medicine. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, any sort of health issue is important. And, if anyone has any concerns about their nutrition, their dietary needs, their training, and overall health, I would be more than happy to help out. So
awesome.
Thank you.
So guys, remember, all this can be covered through your health benefits as well. If you're interested in learning more, you can DM us on Instagram or Facebook. You can reach us at results@puremotivationfitness.com. And if you've listened to this episode and you're like, you know what? I want some of Dr. K on my own, send us a DM and say, I want Dr. K, and we'll give you a complimentary half-an-hour session with him. For anyone else listening, have a wonderful day. Remember, when it comes to health and fitness, your attitude is everything. And one of the big things that I'm pushing and reminding people is happiness is a choice. Make that decision today. If you woke up and your day went wrong, you have the ability to make that decision and say to yourself, am I going to let this affect my day? Am I going to let this affect my mood? Am I going to let this affect the way I pick up my kids from school? Happiness is a decision. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Pure Motivation Podcast. We will be back next week with some more amazing episodes. And if there's any other help you need, we are here for you. Take care and have a wonderful day.